Hey guys, and welcome back. I am thinking that if you like the content on this channel, you probably are enjoying the Netflix series Vincenzo starring Song Joong-ki. I think that perhaps you are resonating with some of the themes of corruption and some of the salacious goings on with the prosecution, the corporations, the legal system, and what people do just to cover things up, and how people try to exert their own level of control to get justice. If you haven't seen it yet and you want to see it, then perhaps maybe you want to save this video for later if there's some sort of spoilers. We're not going to go too much into the actual plot elements. What this video is going to be focused on is how close Vincenzo is to real life in Korea. So a lot of you guys have been shocked by how close SJM's case has been to the dramas that you have seen, and even the Han Ye-seul story has been very close to a lot of the dramas that you have seen. So now we're going to do it the opposite way. I just wanted to share with you some of the things that Vincenzo, that just drama, how that is actually very close in some ways to real life. Of course, you know, it's a very highly fictionalized tale about some Korean guy who was adopted and sent over to Italy and then became like a very high member of like the Italian mafia. Obviously, that probably is very, very, very fictionalized and very highly unlikely. But that connection to how the Italian mob operates and how Korean society operates on so many different levels was the analogy that the writer wanted to immediately link and establish. Vincenzo came out earlier this year at the beginning of 2021, and it took me a while to watch it because I felt like it wasn't something that I wanted to see. I thought it was just going to be, from the pictures of the posters and stuff, that it was just going to be more of like a gritty action movie and just kind of like really dark. But it's actually, you guys, a comedy. Who'd have thought? And it was very smart the way that they did it, because they were dealing with some of these heavier social issues, but they were also putting it in comedy, and that is almost an impossible task, especially with the way that they were almost in the same scene, moving in between one and the other. So if you were probably like a studio executive and you were pitching that kind of a concept to a studio executive, I would imagine they would probably be like, I don't think you can actually do that. It would probably be almost impossible to write, and then almost impossible to find the actors who can switch back and forth. And they did it though. And I think that that's pretty much the only way you can really kind of drive home the social message and still entertain and still make it believable and have an impact. So it really delivered. It gave you everything you might want from a K-drama and an action movie and comedy. So yes, if you haven't seen it yet, definitely go see it. The other reason though that I didn't want to see this is because of Song Joong-ki, because I didn't know what to think about him, and I felt ashamed that I didn't want to think about him because of his divorce, because I was like, I don't know, like, is he a bad dude? Like, I wasn't even really following the divorce, but I was just kind of like weirded out by like, what happened there? And then I was like weirded out that I was weirded out. I was just like, you shouldn't like judge an actor for what they're doing in their personal life. And then I was just like, oh man, Sean, are you one of those types of people that you're like letting the acting be affected by like what their personal life is? And then I was making the excuse that, oh, I didn't even see Descendants of the Sun. And I was like, I have to see Descendants of the Sun first before I see Vincenzo. But then I was like, but how can I see Descendants of the Sun before I really understand what the divorce was about? Whatever. You don't have to figure out all their relationship drama, because no matter what happened during that relationship, which is also none of our business.
Their business is our business.
The reason why I think it doesn't matter is that there was probably nothing good that happened between them anyway. Like, probably no one was the good person, because you could tell that the pain of whatever happened in his personal life helped him in this drama, and lucky for us, made his performance, I believe, that much better. When he plays like that cold-blooded killer where he just sinks down to that level of, I don't have any other bones left to pick. Ooh, you feel it. So, and I think it's kind of like, you know, like when you feel like you have hit that bottom where you have basically fought, killed, done as much as you could in this world, and that's it. Like, he can take the role there. And then also, like, do all of the stuff that he's known for, being funny, charming, and cute, you know, everything. Okay, so if Song Joong-ki doesn't do it for you, then there's Ok Taec-yeon from 2 PM. And he always just struck me as kind of like, I don't know why all the girls went crazy over him.
나의 팬.
팬분들은
Can you feel my heartbeat?
Can you feel my heartbeat? 정말 네.
He just struck me as like this real dorky dude that, like, maybe he, like, in certain lighting angles looks maybe like sort of hot, but he just struck me as kind of like, what is the big deal about him?
이한 선배.
말도 짧다. 시간이 촉박하면 택시를 탔어야지.
우리 시간은 택시보다 저게 더 빠르고 무엇보다 this is city trend.
시리 트렌드 이전에 왜 늦었어?
But, and I feel really weird about this, but after seeing him then play like some murderous psychopath for like 20 episodes, I was like, oh, he's kind of cool. Like, you know, oh wow, he's,
Whoa! Hey! Calm down!
Yeah, he's cool. And I was like, oh my God, that's kind of weird. But he's definitely given a good performance. So all the actors, I would say, they have done a really good job. The writing in this show was probably the best, among the best I've ever seen. So it gave the actors the platform to do the best job. And all of the actors that they selected, I would say, are top notch, where they knew a good script when they saw one, and they were of the caliber of being so well trained that they knew exactly what to do with it. The precision, the training, the practice, you could see it without seeing it on the screen. So if you are from the acting world, you could see like, wow, like they are good actors. And then if you're, you know, just a regular audience person, you should not see the work. You should just be like, whoa, cool. It's really good. The characterization was so real. That dry cleaner, I've seen that dry cleaner wear that outfit. Would you see that piano teacher? I've seen that piano teacher wear that on that upright piano that's kind of cheap. Have you seen that we have all seen that building, you know, that you have to go to either, to that weird restaurant or to that weird dry cleaner. Like, you go to those buildings. That's real. Even the people who are stuck in the late 90s, early 2000s, like the old school gangster and then the accountant who cooks the books, Miss Yang, with the haircut from like the SES days that she keeps combing with like the, I don't know, like the jojoba oil that she puts into it. That characterization, that character work was off the rails. And you can still see like those people, like they are here in Korea. And actually what wasn't real apparently was all of the Italy scenes. Those Italy scenes that looked real, they didn't even go to Italy. It was all green screen. I was shocked. All green screen. They faked it all. And so they saved a ton of money, made it really efficient. And that's probably why they were able to focus so well on getting all the other stuff done. So kudos to them. So this building, though, is its own character. It is one of the central characters in this movie because it is called literally Kumka, like gold house. And it is also supposed to be demolished so that the new Babel Tower, the Tower of Babel, is supposed to go up. So it has a double meaning. It's like where your gold is stored. So physically, they're trying to get to gold that is out of reach, locked away. And so metaphorically, the gold inside your heart, they have to go through all these challenges in order to get what's locked in within. What does it take to get to that inner wisdom and guidance? What does it take to actually get to the gold? And then as the main character goes along, Vincenzo, he adds other people to his journey, and they also are on a path to awaken their gold. And in the end, they're trying to take down this Tower of Babel that really represents hubris. Humans challenging the heavens. Humans acting like demons. Alright, so you're going to see how like this really combines Buddhism and Christianity. What I like to call Budeo-Christians. You know, like Judeo-Christian values? I call it Budeo-Christian values. And so starting from episode 1, you hear Song Joong-ki, who plays Vincenzo, say that my goal is to tear down this building. So he wants to tear down this house of gold to access the gold within, inside. And at that point, it's just all about the money. But as you'll see throughout the show, it's actually to tear down this structure to get, to the gold within. So this show is produced by Studio Dragon, which is producing a lot of amazing content. It's a production company that was a spin-off of CJ So CJ is this huge studio entertainment company that's part of the whole CJ empire. And so most likely this was like a subunit, probably like some star employees, and they're probably like, well, you ain't paying us enough, like we're gonna set up our own company. They're like probably like, okay guys, like let's set you up with your own company, let's like turn it into something we could put it on the stock market, so you can trade it on the stock market, you could buy shares in it. But CJ like owns like 50% of it, Netflix owns like 5%, so that's why you're seeing a lot of those shows from this company on Netflix. So they are like ramping it up. So the other show that recently is now on Netflix called Mine, that also comes from Studio Dragon. So you're seeing a lot of these shows go on Netflix for the international market, and then what cable network are they partnering with? They can go anywhere, and they do, but recently they're doing a lot with TVN, and TVN is also a CJ cable channel. And TVN recently, I would say, is kind of like really blowing up with doing a lot of the shows that are hits. You know how like before I was saying like SBS was the place where they were doing like a lot of the cool dramas, like before Netflix got into the game. Like after Netflix started pumping in money, I would say TVN was the ones that were really being able to find the winners and pick them, and then go into this partnership with Netflix and basically be like, all right, Netflix, you handle the streaming, we get the rights in Korea to do the terrestrial broadcasting, let's go. And they're doing it, and then they're probably like, and then a lot of the production will just throw it over to our Studio Dragon, which we have 50% of on the Korean stock market. So that's how the Korean business works. Okay, anyhow, so good writing, good writers. If anything, I think good drama writers are going to save Korea. And Miss Yang, the lady who plays Miss Yang, she even said it, and I'm glad she said it, because when I finished this drama, yes, there were so many good actors, so many good stars, but I like to recognize the underdogs when I see it. When they say there are no small roles, only small actors. Yeah, there are small roles, but there are actors who do the most with the smallest roles, and she wins that award. Best actress per line. She had like the least amount of lines, but you saw her. And in my mind, while I was watching, I was like, she got the least amount of lines, but she got really good lines, and she made the most out of them. She's just brushing her hair, her oily hair, and like giving her late 90s look, and just like doing the best, and just like making you laugh. Miss Yang. Thank you, Miss Yang. Okay, so in the last episode, by episode 20, in the last lines, so if you don't want to hear the last lines, then maybe, you want to pause. We hear the wrap up of really what this show is about. Because Song Joong-ki is a killer. He's a mafia man. I think people who are watching are probably also trying to come to grips with like, wait a minute, if this show's about justice, and justice is supposed to be about fighting for the good guys, how are we supposed to resolve this in our mind that good has been achieved by someone who is also evil? And earlier through the show, we do have established that Song Joong-ki is going to be a character that is evil as well. He even says that I'm not a good guy. But he says that like I am less bad than the trash that I'm trying to clean up. And even the so-called good person in the beginning of the show, Lawyer Hong's father, who represents the old style of being the good, virtuous hero, says that this way of fighting does not work anymore. We need more of an aggressive type of fighter to battle evil. He says that only a devil can drive out another devil.
An diabolos catia l'altro. 악마가 악마를 몰아낸다. 제가 유일하게 배우는 이탈리아 속담입니다. 예전에 말했죠. 괴물이 괴물을 상대할 수 있다고. 근데 난 괴물이 못 돼요. 누군가 진짜 괴물이 나타나서 법이고 지랄이고 이 나쁜 새끼들 그냥 다 쓸어버렸으면 좋겠어. 하지만 뭐 현실은 불가능한 거지. 빈센조 변호사님이 그 괴물이 될 수는 없겠죠?
So Vincenzo is essentially that devil. So that by the end of the show, we're trying to resolve, I guess, the audience who are still upset that they had to support a devil. What are we going to do with that? So he goes to the Buddhist monk, and the Buddhist monk says that essentially, well, you are never going to be like a Buddha, but like those scary people that you see at the entrance of the Buddhist temple? You shouldn't be scared of those people, actually. They are there for a reason. They are there to drive out the evil spirits that try to infect the temple. So, they're there, like when you have lions at the gate Lionsgate. Lions, like, you know, are always at, like, you know, the front of like fancy houses and stuff. They're there to scare off the bad spirits so that the residents inside will just have happy spirits. And so he's telling Vincenzo that, like, you are part of that military guard, you know, spiritually. You are that force in the world, and you will be praised by Buddha from time to time. And he liked that. And in a way, we're supposed to be grateful for that. Also, in the Bhagavad Gita, when you read some passages there are assigned rules when you come into this life. When there was a question about, like, well, if I'm a warrior and I'm supposed to kill people, and I'm not supposed to kill according to the Buddhist laws or through karma, how is that supposed to work? And they said that there's some sort of law set up for warriors. Like, if you're supposed to kill, you're supposed to kill. Like, you're supposed to be in that warrior rule book for that lifetime. So I guess that's where Vincenzo falls in. So let's just talk about a little bit of the acting that I think stood out. Song Joong-ki, of course, he's a star. He did a really good job. Everybody in the show, in the writing, was made to fall in love with him. So sometimes I'm really suspect about, like, when the writer deliberately does that, where the writer deliberately writes that the characters fall in love with the main character. I think that's a little bit manipulative, but in this sense, it did work. And the writer did make Song Joong-ki work for it, because you kind of forget by the end all of the crazy stuff that Song Joong-ki had to do during this whole series, during this 20 episodes. He had to play a weird shaman that was so funny as part of a con, and he had to play the part of conning this gay guy by also pretending he was gay. Although I think he did it really well.
나도 그지러. 진짜 미치겠네. 아주 그만 좀 해요.
So I did say that Miss Yang won the Best Actress award if you counted per line, because she had the least amount of lines and the densest acting. But I would say the Best Acting award actually goes to the lady who played Choi Myung-hee, the evil lawyer. She really knocked it out of the park. And I only say that because I ended up hating her so much. And when you hate an actor so much by the end, because you hated their character so much, you have to stop and then clap, because you then have to realize, like, they did a really good job. So you end up loving Song Joong-ki, you end up loving, like, all of the other actors, because, like, they played, like, really heroic roles and stuff like that, you know, even though, like, Vincenzo's like the devil who casts out the other devil, but, like, he's supposed to be like a good devil. But then, like, the evil lawyer was just, like, really just like the evil lawyer. And I was just like, wow, so this is like the tragedy of actually doing too well at your job as an actress if you play, like, one of these roles, because then everybody forgets about you because they're like, oh my god, I hate that person. But then you're like, but then you hate that person because she did such a good job in this role. She was so specific. Everything that she did, I was just like, how did she capture this? And then more so, I was like, did she come out of a time machine? Because I was like, who is she and where did she come from? And why does she look so old yet so, like, young? Like, did she have plastic surgery? Turns out, like, this lady, she's Kim Yeo-jin. She's only 48. But she looks like she's, like, my mom's age. Or she looks like my mom when she was 48. And she has that style of, like, the generation from above. So something is kind of really weird. Like, do they even sell those classes these days? Do they even let you out of the hair salon with that kind of hair? And so like just from the start when she's doing the Zumba dance, like her characterization is like on point. And apparently she is totally, well educated, well trained. She studied with the great directors, but she's also like been this social activist who's been blacklisted, like because she's been so like socially motivated more towards the progressive left side. She even got banned from like MBC. And remember I said like MBC is like the super liberal channel. So like how liberal do you have to be even banned from MBC? So she's been like kind of like a little bit blacklisted. So I guess this is a real big comeback. So I would say like please support this actress because she really knocked it out of the park. She kind of like reminded me of Meryl Streep because she just was able to make so many feelings and expressions in her face and kind of like be like a great actress. But because like on her Twitter, she kind of mentioned Meryl Streep, and then I was like, people always mention Meryl Streep's acting, and in acting school, they always say nobody who watches as a regular audience member should ever mention your acting. If they say that, oh my God, your acting was so good, that means you didn't act well. If people notice your acting, that means you didn't act well. But then I was like, but then everyone says Meryl Streep's acting is so good. And I was like, but then why are they saying that she's acting so good? And that always kind of bugged me because I thought like she's a good actress, but I can see her acting. Like while she's acting, you can see that she's saying I'm acting. And I'm like, why is she doing that? And then I realized it's because she's such a good actress that if she really did 100%, you would hate her. Why? Because like I saw her do 100% in the last thing. Her last project, that Reese Witherspoon show, Little Big Lies. She played Nicole Kidman's mom, and she completely melted into that character that was like some kind of weird, like narcissistic kind of over controlling mom. And I hated her, but I thought that was her best acting performance ever. And I was like, oh, that's why she shows that she's acting and that she's Meryl Streep, because I forgot that she was Meryl Streep. I thought she was actually that mother. And I was like, oh, that's why she's always showing us that she's acting and that she's Meryl Streep. Okay, so let's go to the product placements because they put a lot of product placements in this. And do we really use these products here in Korea? Let's see. Okay, first, they've been really pushing this Kopiko. I thought it was chocolate. Honestly, at first I was just like, oh, they're eating this like weird chocolate that comes in some blister pack. Okay, like because I saw it heavily promoted in mine and heavily promoted in Vincenzo. And I was like, okay, if this is both on TV and this got to be like some CJ, product. No, actually, it is like an Indonesian product, and you guys from Indonesia probably know. And it's not chocolate, it's a coffee candy. So I went out to like the convenience store nearby and to the big market nearby, and none of them had it. So I think it's really hard to find. And I looked it up on the internet, and you have to like kind of order it, and it's kind of imported by like some company that does a lot of like foreign food imports. So it's hard to get, and I've never seen anybody eat it. So sorry about that. But instead, I do really love these. And I found these at a random Chinese restaurant here in Seoul at the counter, like as like kind of like when they just give you something to have before you leave. It's a Filipino coffee candy, what I've found out. It's the Jack and Jill EXO Classic, and I think if you're from the Philippines, I guess this is really popular. It's the best coffee candy I've ever had. It's so delicious. So I imagine maybe the Kopiko sound tastes similar. Maxim Gold. Yes, we do drink a lot of this. Usually these days, though, you don't drink this unless you probably go to like a realtor's office, or you go visit some place like an office where they're like, would you like something to drink? And then they basically give you a cup like this. And this is the standard size cup in Korea. So when they say 1 cup, it's a paper cup. So it's I'd say it's maybe about like 4 ounces, and you have to use this. So like when you take this at home, you're gonna be so tempted to like fill up a bigger cup or mug and dilute it. But to get the real taste, which is a very concentrated taste, you really want to put this amount in this kind of a cup. Now they have easy tear, because usually it was like this, but now it's like this, right? So it just opens like that. This becomes your stirrer as well. So mix it. So it's like, you can see the brown, it's the actual coffee. The rest is sugar and cream all in one. It's very delicious. And then you stir it. It becomes very concentrated, very milky, and then you probably fill it up to about there, and you drink it hot. It's really good. People kind of like, you know, think it's déclassé these days, but they want like those Nespressos, but I think that's such a ripoff. But yeah, that's classic and that's good. And I think Song Joong-ki was a model for it, so he had to drink it. But then you could totally tell, like in the show, like he was probably drinking. He was like, "Oh yeah, I haven't had this in a while." Centrum men and women, did you see that? Oh my god. Yep, we have it here. And then if you see Korean people, they'll like kind of give it to you like this. They'll be like, "Oh, here, would you like one?" And they'll use the lid. It's kind of like fancy. It's like, "Oh, all right, thank you." So Centrum is good. And what else? Oh, the Hari, you know, like when Ok Taec-yeon was like going off like a psychopath with like the gummy bears. Yes, we do eat the gummy bears. Haribo is kind of like the market leader in terms of the gummies. So, and I have separated them before. There are more red ones than the other colors. The most delicious ones, I think, are the white ones, and they are the least. It has been confirmed. And one other thing, I don't have the actual Vanilla Co. like CC compact, but this one is from IOP. This is the men's line. You see in episode 19 her doing this. This is essentially like, if you're at this stage where you have to use this, you are one hardworking girl, because this is essentially like a CC compact. It has a sponge system where, see like that, it's kind of like, it's got color, and so it's cover plus like powder and concealer all in one. So it's you never want to start with this. This is essentially like a touch up where you're like, gosh, like if you're a girl like wearing makeup, or a guy, and you're just like at the end of the day, you're like, you have to go somewhere else, and then you're like, geez, like I can't like start over, like what am I gonna do? Foundation, concealer, powder, but I can't put like all of it on top of it. What do I do? But I need all these 3 things to be retouched. So you put this on, and it's essentially like having those 3 things put on again on top of the 3 things you already have on. So it's kind of like magic, but it doesn't really work, I don't think, that well, although not bad. All right, guys, so that was kind of like whether there was realness with Vincenzo without trying to give away too much of what goes on in the story so that it doesn't have any spoiler alerts. But definitely overall an amazing show to watch, and I believe it's been very highly rated on Netflix around the world. If you've already seen it, yes, you can be rest assured that a lot of the stuff that happens in that show does happen in Korea. Alright guys, we'll see you again next time. Bye.
Tune in next time. Don't forget to subscribe. Find us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Love you.